Konnichiwa, dozo yoroshiku! I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk about the best sports manga there is and how Slam Dunk went from this to this. It's quite a journey. Let's do it. Hello, welcome to Comic Tropes. I'm your host, Chris. Today, we're going to talk about the history and the themes of one of my favorite manga, Slam Dunk, by Takehiko Inoue. It is a story about personal growth for both the protagonist and the creator. But beyond that, it's also the story of a manga that had real, lasting impact on Japan's culture. It's the story of a creator's passion that brought both basketball and basketball culture to Japan. So without any further ado, let's talk about what makes Slam Dunk so amazing. Manga grew rapidly in popularity in post-war Japan, sprouting up many genres that appealed to a wide variety of readers, because some literature was censored by Allied forces in 1950s, but not manga. Sports manga was one such genre, and author Frederick Schott discussed it in his seminal book, Manga, The World of Japanese Comics, published by Japanese publisher Kodansha for a Western audience in 1983. Schott argued that sports manga emphasized the Japanese moral code known as Bushido, and worked as a, quote, metaphor for human endeavor and testing of the spirit. Sports manga focused on popular activities like baseball and boxing and grew in popularity when Japan hosted the Olympics in 1964. In 1990, artist Takehiko Inoue began publishing a basketball-themed story in the October 1st issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. In his afterword from the final tankobon volume collecting the series, Inoue revealed that his editor had warned him not to attempt a basketball manga because it wasn't a popular sport in Japan. But Inoue had loved playing basketball in high school and was passionate about following the NBA in the US. He wanted to share his passion for basketball with everyone else. Defying expectations, Slam Dunk became a hit and was one of the most popular stories in Weekly Shonen Jump, alongside titles like Dragon Ball Z throughout the 90s. Slam Dunk tells the story of a delinquent, Hanamichi Sakuragi, who is a natural athlete but only joins the basketball team to try to impress Haruko after being rejected by 50 women throughout junior high. We view his growth alongside his teams as Shohoku High School solidifies a diverse and talented group of teenagers that may have a shot at the national championship. This unlikely hit has now sold 170 million copies across its collected 31 tankobon volumes. And it helped basketball's popularity grow in Japan. For instance, LA Lakers player Ryu Hachimura is from Japan and was born after the manga ended, but has said his discovery of the book led to his interest in basketball. I'll discuss the plot and the characters in a bit, but first I'd like to talk a little bit more about Takehiko Inoue and his early history, because Slam Dunk was an early hit for him, and he evolved as an artist very quickly on it. But let's just back up a little and understand his history before he got to Slam Dunk. Born in 1967, Inoue attended college for literature, but dropped out at age 20, when a submission to Weekly Shonen Jump received a positive response from an editor. He was entirely self-taught as an artist until that point, and he got a job as an assistant to artist Tsukasa Hojo on City Hunter for about 11 months. Takehiko Inoue made his professional debut as a mangaka with the story Purple Kaede in a 1988 issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. Purple Kaede was a one-shot story that is essentially a prototype for Slam Dunk. It features a delinquent named Akagi who is pursuing a girl he has a crush on, and he's interrupted by high school basketball star Rukawa. Akagi challenges Rukawa's team to a game. Rukawa ended up being used with the same design and personality in Slam Dunk. Akagi was a first draft on Slam Dunk's lead character Sakurugi, and Inoue used the name Akagi for the captain of the Shohoku basketball team in Slam Dunk. After Inoue made the one-shot, he illustrated the manga Chameleon Jail for 2.5 months in 1989. Within a month of Chameleon Jail ending, Slam Dunk debuted. Story-wise, it's very straightforward. Hanamichi Sakuragi gets into basketball to impress Haruko. Sakuragi has no idea about the rules of basketball, but has a lot of athletic potential and helps the team get to the national championships. What's special about Slam Dunk isn't the overall plot. It's about the unique characters and the incredible pacing. The execution is what makes Slam Dunk stand apart from everything else. The cast is not huge. While Sakuragi has friends and there are recurring competitors, the main cast focuses around the 5-man team, as well as the team's quiet but brilliant and somewhat mysterious Coach Anzai and team manager Ayoko, as well as Haruko, a fan of basketball who befriends Sakuragi and also has a crush on Rukawa. Sakuragi, in turn, is jealous of that crush because he has a crush on Haruko. It turns out her brother, Akagi, is the tough, focused, no-nonsense center of the team. He's also the team captain and a senior, so this is his last shot at making the nationals. Rukawa Keide was a superstar in junior high and is the same age as Sakuragi. He's the opposite of Sakuragi in every way. Experienced at basketball, popular with the ladies, and quiet and restrained. Rukawa plays the small forward position. Shortly into the book, the team gets 2 more new team members. Hisashi Mitsui was a junior high MVP who fell away from the sport due to a knee injury. He returns as their shooting guard. He doesn't quite have the stamina he used to, but is an exceptional 3-point shooter. And rounding out the team is bad boy Ryota Miyagi, who has a crush on Ayoko, similar to Sakuragi's crush on Haruko. This, in fact, ends up bonding them as friends. Ryota is shorter than most players, but has exceptional speed and is Shohoku's point guard. It's a team of misfits who each have exceptional individual skills and unique weaknesses. Sakuragi starts the book knowing nothing about basketball, but as he learns more, both he and the team improve together. Sakuragi is the power forward and becomes the self-titled rebound king. He calls himself a phenom. He's quite the braggart. He's also very tall, very fast, and while he makes a lot of mistakes, he also learns quickly. Initially motivated just to impress Haruko, with Team Captain Akagi and Coach Anzai's wildly different approaches to teaching and motivation, Sakuragi grows into an impressive and unpredictable player. The plot is very straightforward. It's about Shohoku, a somewhat low-ranked team, moving up into the national championships and finding new ways to battle back against increasingly talented teams. How do they prepare to battle teams that have excellent defensive skills versus an interesting offensive capability? What changes can you make halfway through a game when you realize that nothing you've prepared for is working properly? What's interesting is following the team's growth alongside our viewpoint character Sakuragi. And he is a stunningly different protagonist compared to most of what you see in shonen manga. Sakuragi is egocentric, rash, and hot-tempered. He's stubborn and jealous. He's full of negative qualities. But instead of those being off-putting, it provided a lot of the humor in Slam Dunk because while this story is action-packed, it's also very, very funny. Sakuragi is often the butt of the joke, trying to show off, and instead failing spectacularly in front of everyone. Slam Dunk drew me in with the hint of romance and a really funny main character. He's constantly lashing out and punching people he's mad at. He's yelling at his own teammates and calling Captain Akagi a gorilla. And Inoue's artwork features a lot of cartoony panels to emphasize the punchline of Sakuragi doing something stupid. It's legit funny and timeless. For instance, there's the time Sakuragi needs his first real pair of basketball sneakers and goes with Haruko to a sneaker store, bullying the store owner into selling him a rare pair of Air Jordans. Sakuragi has no idea what they're actually worth. He's so ridiculously cocky that he thinks he's doing the store owner a favor. One of the coolest things about Slam Dunk is that it's a story about personal growth. While Sakuragi never really calms down or mellows out, he does gain a lot of skills to back up his bravado. And he finally finds something that he loves, that he feels loves him back. And it's not a girl, it's basketball. Now, mirroring the personal growth of the main character Sakuragi is the growth of the artist, Takehiko Inoue, in the sense that he grows as a storyteller. As I said earlier, Inoue uses a lot of cartoony panels in Slam Dunk, but there are a lot more towards the beginning of the story when characters and their backgrounds are getting introduced. As the story moves into the team playing increasingly important basketball games, the style becomes a lot more detailed. Somewhere around volume 16 of the 31 Tankobon volumes, I noticed that the level of detail and rendering had really evolved. There's no key moment that I can point to and say that it was radically different, but each issue really is an improvement. And not just in illustration, but in the storytelling. The games become increasingly detailed along with the artwork. Volumes 25 through 31 tell the story of one single game. It's all built up to Shohoku facing a team that has won the Nationals for the last 3 years and has seemingly no weaknesses. The manga moves at a breakneck pace, and yet it is so easy to follow all of the action. Every pass, every shot, every block feels so impactful and visceral. I ended up blasting through the entire series within a few weeks because it moves so fast. I have sincerely never read anything quite like it. Every move on the basketball court is easy to follow, and you have a good sense of where the players are in relation to each other and the basket, minus the occasional distraction by focusing tight on one moment of play, only for another character to surprisingly leap into frame. By the end, when you see that Sakuragi has learned about both sacrifice and teamwork, those are genuinely at least as exciting as any basket scored. And I'm talking about sacrifice both physically and related to his ego. The fact that this relatively new player has earned his teammates' trust to be passed the ball will fill you with emotion, because it's something we've witnessed as being earned. It has taken work to get to that point. The story does end fairly abruptly after a key game. We get a small epilogue, and at first, it's a shock. Because by then, you've read a lot of story to follow the back and forth of just one game. When it ends, it's not what you'll expect. It doesn't necessarily end where you might expect or with any of the characters where you think they'll finish. But it all makes sense from a character point of view, and I'm not trying to imply that it's an unhappy ending. It's uplifting. It just ends with a lot of elements I would never have guessed at. The fact is, Slam Dunk was a huge hit for Weekly Shonen Jump, and it made an impact in Japan. Yes, it got kids more interested in basketball, but it also brought 90s basketball/hip-hop fashion to the cities. All of a sudden, people in Japan were wearing jerseys, ball caps, baggy shorts, high-top sneakers. That all happened because of Slam Dunk. And let's just be clear. Yes, Takehiko Inoue took from basketball to create this story, but he's always made an effort to give back. After he finished Slam Dunk, he made another basketball manga, this time about wheelchair basketball, called Real. And in 2008, Inoue teamed up with publisher Shueisha to create the Slam Dunk Scholarship. That picks some high school graduates every year from Japan and gives them a 14-month study abroad program in the US. Hopefully they can become professional basketball players. It's pretty amazing. I absolutely love Slam Dunk. It's hilarious. It's emotional. It's exciting. But it is worth at least addressing some of the criticisms against it. First of all, some readers are not fans of the ending. Slam Dunk is absolutely not a traditional sports story where the good guys win everything and get the girl as a cherry on top. But I think it tells something real about sports. The fact is, Sakuragi gets seriously injured in the final game. It ends with him in rehab. Team captain Akagi does not get a basketball scholarship to university. But it also ends with all of the players in a really positive space. Each of them is making positive moves for their future. I find that realistic and uplifting. I also think that the super fast pace to the manga means that no matter how it ended, it always was going to feel somewhat abrupt. Either that or the story could have petered out and it wouldn't have been the same thing. The other criticism was something stronger in Japan than here in the US. It had to do with accusations that Inoue traced some of the action shots from NBA photographs. I think that over here, that kind of reference is accepted, but that in Japan, while background reference is normal, artists are expected to use only their own photographs for reference when it comes to people. Most of these accusations came in 2005, well after the manga had ended. And it was pretty obvious that Inoue was influenced by certain NBA players. Shohoku's jerseys look like the Chicago Bulls. Sakuragi cuts his hair early on, and his bad boy attitude and hairstyle are reminiscent of Dennis Rodman. They're also both good at rebounding. Akagi is clearly based on Patrick Ewing down to the hairstyle. Rukawa may not look much like Michael Jordan, but he plays like him. And if you look, a lot of readers have found examples of NBA photos that do look to be traced. Your mileage will vary on how much that bothers you. I think reference can be a crutch if it makes your characters look inconsistent or stiff. I would not lay either of those accusations at slam dunk speed. Inoue's style and overall composition dominate. I strongly suspect that it's more of a cultural thing to be bothered by someone using someone else's photos as reference. Because over here, Wallywood famously said, quote, "Never draw anything you can copy, never copy anything you can trace, never trace anything you can just cut out and paste up." I wholeheartedly recommend Slam Dunk. I'm not even the world's biggest basketball fan. I just was never a good basketball player. I was tall, so I was expected to be good. I was too clumsy at dribbling to be a good basketball player. I don't watch it a lot. I might watch during the playoffs. But this book let me know everything I needed to know about the sport. It was easy to follow, it gave me characters that I felt engaged with, and the pacing was so fast, it really is, it's hard to find anything else in comics that I can quite compare it to. It's amazing how fast this book read for me. Now, finding every volume of this is not going to be the easiest task, but I do think it would be rewarding if you did get it all together. It's an amazing story. I got a lot out of it. That's my recommendation for this week. Thank you everyone for watching. I will be back next week with another exciting episode. I'm leaning towards talking about some Ninja Turtles, I think. Yeah, I think it's probably time to talk about them some more. Before you leave, if you could consider hitting like and subscribe if you're not already, that stuff really helps the channel. Maybe you want to leave a comment. Thank you so much, and until I see you next time, keep reading comics. Hey folks, it's Chris. Thanks so much for watching the episode so far. I thought of something else I'd like to add. You caught me here in the editing room, and while I was doing that, I realized, oh, I just saw the brand new movie based on Slam Dunk, which was written and directed by its creator, Takehiko Inoue. I just saw this in the movie theater. It's playing nationwide, but probably won't be out for very long. I do highly recommend it. Now, you'll probably get a lot more out of it if you've already read the manga, because it really just focuses mostly on the final game with flashbacks to help understand the characters. And it gives us something different. The viewpoint character in the film is actually Ryota Miyagi, and his story is just really heartbreaking. He's got a very tough home life. So to balance the fast-paced action with these really somber scenes was really interesting, but it totally worked for me. The animation is a combination of 3D, 2D, and traditional hand-drawn animation. I happen to really like it. Now, it's very stylized anime, but it's the 5th highest grossing anime of all time. Incredibly popular in the East. When I went to the theater, not too many people there, but I sincerely loved it. The first Slam Dunk. Strongly recommend it. Thanks for watching so far. If you can, again, like, subscribe, comment. If you're so inclined, check out my Patreon, Comic Tropes. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider hitting like and subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, there are merchandise links beneath the YouTube video, and you can always hit join on YouTube or visit Comic Tropes on Patreon to get access to special perks.